They told you the universe began with a bang, but what if that never happened? What if the truth is darker, older, and far more forbidden? Imagine a truth so massive, even the Big Bang trembles before it. For decades, scientists believed time had a starting line, a moment where everything exploded into being. But new evidence, censored, ridiculed, even buried, suggests something terrifying. The universe never began. It was always here, eternal, and someone doesn't want you to know why. Welcome to the theory that could erase everything you thought was real. The universe has no beginning, what they're hiding. Chapter 1, The Lie of the Beginning. Target, 1,000 words. Style, cinematic, mysterious, immersive, no headings, no commentary, just flow. They taught you a simple story. A universe once squeezed into a point smaller than a grain of sand, exploded. And from that explosion, space, time, energy, and matter were born. The Big Bang became gospel, a sacred beginning to everything we know. But like all sacred stories, this one hides something. The truth doesn't explode, it whispers. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear it now. The Big Bang theory was never proven. It was assumed, not because it was perfect, but because it was convenient, because it gave science a moment of creation, an origin, an answer to silence the terrifying question, what came before? They didn't want you to ask that, because they didn't know. So they built a wall of equations around a myth of beginnings. They call it a singularity, a moment when the universe was infinitely hot, infinitely dense. But infinity isn't science. It's a placeholder for ignorance, an admission of failure dressed in mathematics. If the Big Bang was real, then everything, stars, galaxies, even your body, was born from that cosmic birth. But what if it wasn't? What if the birth never happened? What if we've been sold a story with no ending because it had no beginning? The deeper you go into quantum mechanics, the more the illusion breaks. At the smallest scales, particles flicker in and out of existence without cause. Time reverses, cause and effect dance in circles. Nothing behaves like it's supposed to. Even space-time, the very fabric of reality, begins to tear apart when traced back to the so-called beginning. If time was born at the Big Bang, then what was before? Was it nothing? Nothing can't exist because nothing doesn't do anything. It doesn't give rise to stars. It doesn't build galaxies, and it doesn't create consciousness. There's a flaw no one likes to mention. The Big Bang doesn't explain where the universe came from. It simply rewinds the movie until the screen goes black. Then it tells you, this is where the story starts. But the black screen is a lie. Einstein's own equations predict that time doesn't have to begin. They allow for a past eternal universe. Some cosmologists believe in a quantum bounce, a collapse of a former universe triggering the expansion of ours. Others believe in a cyclic model, endless expansions and contractions, like a cosmic breath. But these ideas are kept at the edges, because they threaten the script written by those who need a start, so they can control the ending. Think about it. If the universe has a beginning, then it must have a creator, a cause, a prime mover. Governments, religions, and even some scientists depend on this narrative. A universe with a birth date is a universe with an owner. But if the universe was always here, then no one owns it. And that is terrifying, because it means the rules were never written. That meaning must be made, not given. That you are not part of a linear journey, but an infinite spiral. There's another problem they won't tell you. The cosmic microwave background, the so-called afterglow of the Big Bang, is not as perfect as they claim. Its tiny fluctuations hint at something more ancient, a structure too old, too complex to be the echo of a single explosion. Some researchers found patterns, circles in the sky, suggesting something existed before this universe. They published papers. They were ignored, some were mocked, some disappeared. Even the James Webb Telescope is now challenging the timeline. It found galaxies that appear fully formed far too early in cosmic history, as if they didn't slowly evolve, but arrive with memory. What if time didn't start with a bang? What if time is a loop? Or worse, what if time is fake? These questions are dangerous. They shake the foundation of science, religion, power, and control. That's why they want you to keep believing in the beginning. Because if there's a beginning, then there's an authority. There's a box you can be placed inside. But you were never meant to fit in that box, because you, like the universe, are too old to measure. Before we move forward, ask yourself, if everything you've ever been told started with a lie, then what comes next? Because maybe there was no bang, no spark, no genesis. Maybe the universe has always been whispering the truth, and only now are you ready to hear it. They looked at the stars before they named them, before telescopes, before equations, before theories wrapped in silence. Ancient civilizations didn't speak of beginnings, they spoke of cycles, breaths, eternal returns. To them, the universe wasn't born, it was. In the Indus Valley, priests chanted of Brahma's breath, the cosmos expanding and collapsing in infinite loops. Billions of years in each inhale, billions more in the exhale. No beginning, no final death, just rhythm. In Egypt, the scarab beetle rolled its ball of dung, just like the sun rolling across the sky, again and again. The gods didn't create time, they moved within it, because the needers, the cosmic forces, were eternal. A cosmic echo, a ripple in a pond that never stopped moving. Today we dismiss ancient knowledge as symbolic, but symbols are just words that haven't been translated yet. The Ouroboros, a snake eating its tail, found in Egypt, Greece, India, Mesoamerica. Why did every ancient civilization draw the same symbol? Because they knew, because they remembered. The universe doesn't end, it feeds on itself. Rebirth after rebirth, pattern after pattern, and now that pattern is rising again. In the data, in the background noise of space, in the tremble of quarks, in the resonance of your breath. Maybe the ancients weren't ancient. Maybe they were echoes of ourselves, from a cycle before this one, and maybe, just maybe, they left us a message, a warning, that truth is not found in a beginning, but in the eternal return. You think time is real, you feel it in your skin, see it in the mirror, count it on clocks. But what if time is the biggest illusion of all? We live inside a lie stretched across seconds. We say things begin and end, but these are just words we gave to motion, to understand what we cannot grasp. The past feels solid, the future feels uncertain, and the present feels fleeting, always slipping away. But physicists say something terrifying. None of it is real. Einstein shattered time in 1905. To him, it wasn't a flowing river. It was a frozen landscape, a block. Every moment, past, present, and future, exists all at once, like pages in a book, already written. You think you're moving through time, but you're not. You're just reading each page, one by one. But the whole book already lies in your hands. Time doesn't tick, you do. And if time doesn't move, how can there be a beginning? Physicists tried to fight it, tried to patch the illusion, but the deeper they looked, the worse it got. At quantum levels, particles jump between positions with no transition. They vanish, reappear, as if time doesn't apply. They don't age, they exist in superposition, not in time, but outside it. Even the famous arrow of time, the one that points from past to future, comes from entropy, from the tendency of things to break down. But entropy doesn't explain time. It's just a shadow of it. And sometimes, even that shadow breaks. In laboratories, scientists have watched entangled particles affect each other before the event, as if time moved backward, or didn't move at all. What if time is not fundamental? What if it's just an emergent property, a side effect of consciousness trying to make sense of change? Because without an observer, time may not exist at all. That's not philosophy, it's quantum mechanics. Experiments show that the act of observing determines whether a particle behaves like a wave or a point, not the measurement, the awareness of it. You're not watching time, you're creating it. And what if time is different everywhere? In space, clocks tick slower near gravity. Time bends around stars, slows near black holes. freezes at the event horizon. Time isn't universal, it's fractured. One astronaut traveling near a black hole for just hours could return to Earth and find centuries have passed. If time is relative, then whose beginning is the real one? And yet, we still cling to the idea of before and after. We say the universe was born 13.8 billion years ago. But 13.8 billion years, according to who? According to our clocks, our planet, our sense of decay. But what if we're watching shadows on the wall? While reality lies behind us, what we call now is not a moment, it's a trick. The brain processes light with a delay. Every image you see happened milliseconds ago. Every sound you hear is already gone. You live inside a memory machine, a recorder, not a participant. So what if the present is just a lag? What if time is not flowing forward, but looping? Scientists like Julian Barber have proposed something radical. That time doesn't exist at all. That what we see as motion is just a series of nows, snapshots, moments frozen in a vast configuration space, and our consciousness is just drifting between them. You're not traveling through time. You're waking up in different frames of a cosmic reel, and your memory is stitching the illusion together. If that's true, then the universe doesn't evolve. It just is. Every version of you, young, old, alive, gone, already exists. So how could a universe like that ever begin? The idea of a beginning assumes time exists. But if time is an illusion, then so is the beginning. So is the end. So is the you who asked the question. And yet, we keep searching for a first cause, a moment before all others, a spark. But maybe there is no first spark. Maybe there is only light, always burning, always shifting, always now. You weren't born into time. Time was born in you. And maybe that's what they've always feared, that if you learn the secret, you'll stop obeying the clock. You'll stop fearing the end. You'll realize